Welcome to Housing Development.
I'm Jim Tobin.
And I'm Paul Lopez.
Paul, here we are sitting in the Big Apple.
I know, right?
New York City. Yeah,
on tour, baby.
On tour, yeah. up here to do some media.
Yeah.
We did Fox News or Fox Business this morning. We're doing Yahoo tomorrow morning, and we met with
Barron's. We met with Market Watch. So yeah. It's been a good run.
It's been a really good run. Yeah, there's a lot of interest in telling housing story right now.
That's right.
And it's incumbent upon us to make sure that these outlets know that we're the source when it comes to housing, and obviously new construction, but housing in general in the market.
Yeah. So the reason why we're up here is because the Wells Fargo NAHB Housing Market Index. Yep. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yep. And
then I want to get into some of the stuff that the media have been asking you in this, because I think it kind of gives you a good insight as to what's out there, right?
Right, and what they're focused on and what they're hearing.
That's right.
So HMI up 4 points.
4 points, right, to 48.
48, right? We're just below the break-even point.
Oh, it feels painful.
But I think, kind of the important story is, number one, it's the third month in a row that's up.
Yep.
That's a good sign. We knew it wasn't going to go up in these big chunks. We knew that the market, this recovery is going to continue to be bumpy.
Yeah.
But in the three segments,
yep.
Current conditions, future conditions, and traffic are all up across all four quadrants of the survey.
That's right. That's a great sign. And again, we feel, and I know Dr. Robert Dietz also feels this way, that slow rise is a better indicator of health as opposed to these kind of wild up and down numbers. Yeah. So, I think that's a pretty good sign. We'll get starts tomorrow on Friday.
Yeah.
And depending on when you listen to this podcast, those numbers might be out or not.
Right.
But that's why you're Yahoo's tomorrow on that.
Tomorrow, yep.
But look, sitting back and we had a couple of interviews and us talking to Barney as well before your segment. They're talking about a housing bubble out there, and you were able to squash that pretty nicely.
Yeah, I mean, Barney asked me specifically if with so much high demand or moderate demand, but high home prices, high interest rates, are we in a bubble because home prices are too high? I told him no, I don't think we are.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to equate where we are in this cycle with where we were in 2006 and 2007, right? Yep. Right before the Great Recession. And that we're ready for a crash. It's night and day. These are two different conditions. Back in the early 2000s, we had the government really pushing the demand side of the equation, really pushing banks and lenders to come up with creative ways to finance homes, encouraging people to get into home ownership even if they shouldn't. We heard the stories of 3 and 4 properties.
Yeah.
We had a lot of investors moving into that space.
A lot of flipping.
And then everybody got caught holding the bag.
That's right.
We don't have that this time. First and foremost, we don't have the loose credit conditions.
Right.
The result of the Great Recession, obviously, the regulation of Dodd-Frank, and we have a flight to quality when it comes to mortgages. Number one, so we don't have that. Number two, our members haven't risen to demand, at least early on, because they were too afraid of getting overextended.
100%.
As we came out of the Great Recession, and then once demand gets kicked in, what do we find? We run into the headwinds of supply chain, labor constraints, and more importantly, land use restrictions and local governments putting away and raising the cost. So a completely different market dynamics. I don't think there's going to be a bubble, knock on wood. But more importantly, we also don't think there's going to be a recession. When we talk to Rob Dietz, it seems like if everybody's waiting for the market to break and bail us out of high home prices, they're going to be sorely disappointed.
Right.
The only way to do it, and you know this better than I do, what's our way, Paul?
We need more housing.
That's right. We need more housing. That's right. So, so that was an interesting tactic interesting tack that Barney brought up today, but it's kind of fun to talk about it.
Yeah, it is always fun to talk about it. And when we talked to Barron's and when we spoke to Market Watch, they too ask you what's going on and again and again, right? And I love this. What are your members telling you?
Right.
And I love it. You're going across the country. You can say, look, it doesn't matter where I'm at. It's X. And the enthusiasm's there. That our members are seeing that demand, that pent up demand, which is the most important thing to keep us out of a bubble, because our members have been telling us now for years, right? The demand's there, and the frustration is they see it and they can't act on it.
Right. Yeah. One question came up about who's building entry-level housing, right?
Yeah, right.
The question is, everybody's trying to build entry-level housing. The problem is, even in smaller markets where generally lower regulation, you can't even meet what the market demand for an entry-level home is. It just costs more money everywhere to get people in there. And then you couple the high costs of home construction and land costs and labor costs with high mortgage rates, and we have the conditions we're in now. And then add on that there's no existing stock, which is where traditional new first-time home buyers go to, having to turn more to new homes, but pay that premium for the product.
Yeah. And again, the other thing that we talked about excessively is about workforce, right? The importance, and they're, I mean, they zeroed in on that. They love that story. So hopefully we're going to get that message out even more so throughout the next few months, because they were all in.
All in. They we talk about it all the time. The workforce is going to be the biggest governor on this industry in the long term. Whether interest rates, supply chain issues, those will ebb and flow. But workforce is our biggest challenge. We talk about 400 jobs short month after month. But we talked about the skilled trades, and we talking about skilled trades is plan A, not plan B. Talked about the need to get more and more people in here. That one of the folks you spoke to, it interviewed a female plumber who's making six figures. Right, that's a story we have to tell. That if you are willing to enter into the trades, you are going to make a very good living. You have a wonderful career, and you're going to be tomorrow's entrepreneur because you're going to start your own company.
Right, and that's not an anomaly, right? Like that's more the norm. It's not like, oh, there's this kind of unicorn out there that was able to make six figures. No, I mean, given the aging populace of a master plumber, of of electricians, this is going to be the norm for a really long time.
That's right. So. Yeah, that's what's on their mind. We talked a little build for rent. We had a good conversation about that, about this kind of new boom in the build for rent market. But again, that speaks to the lack of affordable housing for purchase. That people want that single family lifestyle, but they're willing to go get it in a rental package. And we also talked about the need for affordable rental apartments. The low income housing tax rate in particular. Again, kudos to JP Delmore for getting that legislation passed. Still waiting to get it through the Senate, but we're all optimistic that we're going to get a boost in the low income housing tax rate. At every entry point of housing, we need more of it.
That's right.
That message is getting picked up by the press more and more.
Yeah, no. And look, we do a lot of media, and you're on the phones and Zooms and everything. But it's just different to come in here, see them face to face, have a conversation, create that bond, right? And see us as a resource. And I love it when we're the voice of housing. Yeah,
and having the media talk about it more just keeps it front and center.
Absolutely.
We know it's the top issue facing Americans.
Yep.
We're talking the presidential campaigns about it. We have obviously the White House and Capitol Hill, but getting politicians to is like I like to say, pick up an oar and be part of the problem. Sorry, be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. And we're doing it on all fronts this week. Yep. We've got some senior officers up on the Hill.
Yeah. Carl Harris and Buddy Hughes are in town for the traditional chair and vice chair leadership meeting. So Lake Colson and the team have them up on Capitol Hill meeting with key lawmakers and
very busy.
Just moving the agenda forward. This is a weird year, the election year. The legislating season's essentially short. It's usually done effectively by July, but still a lot of irons in the fire for us. We talked about the tax bill. We've got to fund the government, by March. We've got priorities in there on transformers, on flood insurance, just housing funding in general. A lot of things we're working on. WIOA, workforce development legislation. So there's still a lot of work to be done on Capitol Hill, even as we get closer to the silly season of the November elections.
No, absolutely right. But we're firing up on all cylinders moving into the International Builder Show. There's a reason why it's going to be one of the biggest shows, because housing's on fire.
Yeah, just under 2 weeks away. I can't wait to get to Vegas. 27th, 28th, 29th of February. Las Vegas, be there, be square.
There's still time.
Over 1 million square feet between KBIS and IBS.
Yep.
And Design and Construction Week. Over 100,000 people are going to be in town. We've been saying this, on each pod for the last several months. It's the place to be if you're building.
Yeah, and going back to our original piece. talking to the reporters, one of the things that kept coming up over and over again was AI, right? Artificial intelligence. And we could tell them, come to the show. There's going to be a lot of educational sessions on this. Yeah. If you want to, learn and see how it's going to affect home building, you should come. And they actually kind of looked at us like, oh, maybe if there's funding, we'll be there.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, if you're following housing, this is right. You're going to hear from Rob Dietz. You're going to hear from all these experts, whether it's on education or the future of home building, right? I mean, and you're going to see the best brand new whiz bang products.
That's right.
That need to be put into homes, whether it's technologically, whether it's just new stoves and washers and dryers. I mean, it is over 700 new exhibitors on the IBS floor.
That's right.
Many of them international. I mean, and that's one thing for our listeners. We've seen this influx of international exhibitors because the U.S. housing market is forecast to be the strongest housing market in the world globally over the next several years, many years. Mm-hmm. They want to break into it now and get on the front end. And I think as demand comes back, and we hopefully are going to avoid those supply chain issues we had in the post-COVID boom.
They can fill the gaps.
They can fill the gaps, right? So to all of our attendees and those of you who aren't there yet, come find those new products from overseas that are going to help you build your home more affordably and on time for your customers.
That's right. I mean, I think we're ready to go, right? I mean, we leave next week.
We leave next week, yeah.
So it's longer for us because we also have our board of directors meeting and everything else. We do the business of the association at that time as well. That's it's going to be exciting, man. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
I am too. I haven't been, I'm always excited about IBS. It's great to see all my friends, but it's more important to see the industry come together in one place, celebrate itself, but also look to the future. So it's going to be great. So.
And in case you're worried, in case those of you are worried that we're not going to have podcasts during that time,
that's right.
Lo and behold, we will.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to be actually kind of fun. We're going to be doing it in front of a live studio audience.
We are. We are. It's going to be great.
We're going to be in the Leading Suppliers Council Lounge.
Yep.
We're going to record some podcasts, talk to some of the people who are attending, and some, maybe an exhibitor or two. So stay tuned. I think it's going to be some really fun episodes.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be fun to do before a live studio audience.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so another good show.
Live from New York. It's housing development.
That's right. And finally, a shout out to our great sponsor,
LG Pro Builder. Yeah, let's build the good life together. Indeed, let us do that. So until next time, again, thanks to LG. But I'm Jim Tobin,
and I'm Paul Lopez.
See ya.
Bye.